right, good evening, everybody. It is Steve with Real Progressives. Goodness gracious, it's late, right? It's really freaking late. But I decided to go live because, I want to first off say thank you so much, Jordan Cheriton, for having me on Status Quo. It was a great time talking about the UBI, amongst other things that I imagine will be coming out in the next coming days over there with Jordan. So thank you again for having me on. Look forward to working together at other times. All right, that said, I spoke to Jordan the other day about the universal basic income, or as some call it, the unconditional basic income. And then I talked to them about Andrew Yang's proposals, and more importantly about his advisor, Scotty snake oil salesman Santens. And I want to talk to you all a little about some of the fallout from that, which is just preposterous. First of all, there's nothing I said in that video that's not unassailable. Completely to the point, spot on. But the way these Yang Gang folks work, they don't work in a situation where they're actually addressing what you say. What they do is they come at you like a zombie horde. Drone after drone after drone after, eyes rolling back so far in your head you can see your brains kind of drone after drone. You remember that old movie World War Z, where the zombies just kept crashing into the wall out there in Israel? Wham, wham, wham. They just... That's the Yang Gang. There's no thought going into the comments. There's no actual meaning. They have a Medium article that Scott Santens wrote. And have you read the article by Scott? Have you read the article? Yes, I've read the article. I read the article. And so much of it is a waste of time. First of all, give them credit. They acknowledge that they're going to get rid of certain programs that they think are ineffective. And then they're saying, oh, and it's going to be on top of other ones, this UBI thing that they're approaching, the freedom dividend. But the problem with it isn't whether or not we give people a basic income. The problem is the U and the unconditional or the universal. And because they won't address the very key points that I brought out in the last video with Jordan, because that 20-minute shot was so concise and so in your face and so right there, the weeping and gnashing of teeth that came about from the religious, folks, these are religious zealots. In no way, shape, or form are they thinking people. They're not even trying to think. They're not taking the information and processing it. They're not even asking decent questions. Instead, drone after drone after drone, bodies stacking up like the zombies. Okay? Oh, look at him. Oh, he brought up Xboxes. Oh, he did this. Look, in the interview I did with Jordan, what I tried to do was explain the idea of supply and demand. And I tried to explain because a ways back when the PlayStation 1 first came out, my son wanted a PlayStation 1. And we knew that they had purposely limited the production of PlayStation 1s to drive demand. They wanted to create a stir, and they wanted to make it the must-buy toy of the year. So we got word that Best Buy was going to be opening up at 3 a.m. for people to show up to get the new PlayStation 1. So we showed up 3 a.m. with a line wrapped around the parking lot, and they only had 50 PlayStation 1s in the entire store. But there were literally 300 people waiting there at that time of the morning to get a PlayStation 1. Now, what happened? As soon as we walked out of the building, there were people outside that were saying, hey, man, if you didn't get a PlayStation 1, I got one here. I got 3 of them here. I'll sell it to you. The price at the time was like, I don't know, $300 or $200 or what the hell it was. And they were like, well, I'll give it to you for $1,000. Okay. Now, these bozos, unfortunately, are out there saying, hey, he's talking about Xboxes. These people, I'll just call them people for now. I was trying to use an analogy that these folks might get, but instead they decided to pervert it and try to make some mockery out of it, like I didn't know what the fuck I was talking about. Unfortunately, I know exactly what the fuck I'm talking about. So in any event, I used an Xbox analogy. It didn't go over with a few of them because nothing that I said went over with them. Why? Because they don't want it to go over. They are religiously wed to a UBI. Never mind the fact that I said that I was in support of a basic income, which we already have in Social Security, that can be expanded, that none of them acknowledged it, to accommodate all these different new areas that they seem to want to accommodate. I'm saying to them, we already have a basic income in existence today. We need to beefen it up. We need to fatten it up. We need to get rid of the FICA tax, which is regressive. And we need to make it available for more people, more circumstances that we would like to fund as a nation. Democratically choose what we want to fund. They didn't hear that. They didn't want to. That kind of disingenuous, dishonest thinking that doesn't acknowledge these things is reprehensible. Let's be fair. It's not even decent. It's disgusting, right? It's disgusting to not acknowledge it. So I'm here to acknowledge it for them. The next piece that was probably the worst, Scott Santens decides to bait a bunch of goons to try and chase after us, which is fine. So these Yang gangers are out there sniping and harping on his post, where what this jackhole did was he took our Patreon account, which is sitting at about 1,100, 1,200. Actually, our Patreon, thank you folks, has gone up as a result of Scott Santens' idiocy. Okay? But he went ahead and tried to post this up and said, it's hypocritical of them to have a crowdsourced UBI, a charitable organization, a company that is trying to become a 501c3 and C4, okay? A charitable organization with volunteers is crowdsourcing a UBI for me. This is what this prick said. He's an idiot, a loser, a microphone abuser. And I doubt, seriously, Scott Santens would probably say that to my face. Because Scotty doesn't know. Okay? Scott wouldn't do that. He wouldn't do it. Because he knows he can hide behind a keyboard and say things, do things, right? But in reality, he sat there and tried to make me out to be something that I'm not. And he tried to say that I was crowdsourcing a UBI for myself. Now, thank God Fadl Kaboub stepped up and smacked the taste out of his mouth with a really, really concise, fact-based point-by-point thing. And so did several others. Many others came out. But the drone army, and I don't even think they're real people, to be honest with you. Or if they are, they're teen angst kids that don't know any better. But they started stacking the bodies, climbing the wall into Israel, World War Z style. Just saying stuff. And it's like, oh, you sound mean every time you fight back. Oh, he sounds like a mean guy. Oh, these Bernie bros. And then the next thing they do, as soon as you answer them, respond, they're like, oh, you just want an authoritarian job. You want them to have to work for the man. Shut up. That's not what anybody said. I mean, the lies. It's like lie after lie after lie after lie. And that, Scott, claims to be an advisor for Andrew Yang. Let's be clear. If that's Andrew Yang's advisor, do you really want that son of a bitch anywhere near the White House? Much less the outhouse? I'll let you think about that one. But we go further. And I want to state for the record that what I said clearly, the job guarantee prevents predatory capitalists, predatory companies like Walmart and others, for using the UBI to subsidize shit wages. Andrew Yang has come out and directly stated, and so has Scotty Boy Santens stated, that their UBI would serve to subsidize shit wages. I'm not making this up. If they didn't say it, well, they did. They did fucking say it. That's the problem, and they believe it. They're okay with subsidizing shit wages as opposed to forcing the wage up. And by doing a federal job guarantee, you, by definition, number one, you take that resource away from those capitalists, away from those bad companies, and you put them to serve their local community, whatever the local community decides. We're not talking about working for demand. We're not talking about a for-profit thing. We're talking about communities making decisions for themselves on how they want to take care of their communities. Now, again, I already stated I'm for a basic income, which would be Social Security expanded. So I really despise the lies when someone says, oh, you just want to force them to work. The people that say that have proven themselves a liar. Would you agree? Would you agree that anyone that says otherwise is a liar? Because I just said it, so we have it on tape. I'm going to tell you right now, they're a fucking liar. Yeah, goddamn right they're a liar. So the job guarantee does a number of things, important things. Number one, the job guarantee, like I said, prevents these predatory companies like Walmart from subsidizing shit wages, because you can make more on the job guarantee, a living wage with benefits, and serve your local community. Pick up from a beating up there, and let's say you're in a bad marriage and you haven't worked for 20 years. You can pick up and leave and not be stuck getting your ass beat anymore, and have a job with benefits waiting for you in any community you decide to move to. What can the UBI say? Nothing. Here's $1,200. Here's Here's $1,000. Go live La Vida Loco, baby. That is status quo. Because they not only make you give up your food stamps and all the other things. So, in other words, you're not getting any of the services on top of it. Here's your $1,000, man. Live long and prosper, baby. Because that's what a lot of these nanu folks are talking about. Okay? Now, if you really wanted to do something crazy, you have to think about the system. So if we get rid of student debt, for example, getting rid of student debt is game-changing. That's structurally changing. But if you just give somebody $1,000 without any of the structural fixes behind it, you've just set up status quo, and that it will be inflationary. There is no wiggle room on this. It's not like, and then a VAT, a value-added tax, that is the most regressive tax there is. Number one, taxes don't fund federal spending. So we got another economics lesson that we got to teach some of the yangers. Federal taxes do not pay for programs. Federal taxes are a brake or a gas pedal for an economy. They drive the need for that U.S. dollar. You can't pay your taxes in Bitcoin. Sorry, technocrats. You can't pay your taxes in chicken necks, and you can't pay them in Pokemon cards. You can't pay your taxes in anything but U.S. dollars. And that's why the government taxes. And what happens? Because we're in a fiat system now. We're not in a gold standard where we just print a bunch of money, have it sit on pallets, and banks issue it. It's not how it works. Again, another lesson for people that thought they knew something but didn't really know and didn't investigate, didn't ask questions. They just went into a religious zombie-like dogpiling and slipped the plot altogether. When the government spends money, and if they did a UBI, the government would be spending money directly. It wouldn't be any tax dollars. Sorry, it's not how it works. And that money would be just spent, which is great, because we need to spend money into the economy. But the issue is, we need jobs to do it. We need jobs. We need federal job guarantee for a host of reasons that have nothing to do with the validity or lack thereof of a UBI. The job guarantee solves the problem of unemployment, of forced unemployment, of undesired unemployment. If you desire to be unemployed, the job guarantee isn't about you. The job guarantee is about those who wish to serve their community, who wish to earn a living wage, who, when the last global financial crisis hit, would have benefited in spades to have that buffer, because trust me, unemployment was nothing. Unemployment during the global financial crisis was nothing. People acted like people were living fat on the hog, just living off the government's teat. But had there been a federal job guarantee in place at a living wage with benefits, I bet you a lot more families wouldn't have broken up. I bet you a lot more homes wouldn't have gone completely under. And I bet you a lot more people would be whole today as opposed to banks being made whole. But let's talk a little bit more about the disingenuous attacks that Scott Santens did. Scott Santens has blocked my Twitter account, by the way. He hasn't blocked our Real Progressives account, but he blocked me. Austerity is murder. Why? Because I was owning him. And you know what? He blocked us. So guess what? We don't suffer fools. If people come in here droning, we just block them. Fuck them. We don't sit there and tolerate that shit. Why? Why waste your time with a drone army piling up bodies at the wall? They're not there to talk. They have no interest in learning. They have no interest even in real dialogue. They just slap each other's back and high five like they're on 4chan. So if you want to be genuous as opposed to disingenuous, the UBI, the problems that people are seeking to change, they think by giving people just here's some cash, because people are thinking about their own little myopic moment. That, oh, if I had $1,000 in my hand right now, shit, I could get a bunch of whatever. I could do whatever. But there's nothing structurally changed with that. And everything else catches up. Quick. By providing folks with the real services, a basic needs guarantee, it doesn't matter what the prices do on the back end. The government can afford anything that it can purchase in its own U.S. dollars. However, people can't. People, if they get $1,000, that's it. That's all there is. If the price goes up, fuck you. Who cares? You're done. You don't get to eat. You better do good with that money. Now, how many people do you know don't do great with money? How many people do you know have money burn a hole in their pocket? Now, I'm not worried about whether they do or they don't. That's their prerogative. I'm telling you, though, as far as designing a program, without a price anchor, the price of these things, healthcare, food, shelter, things like that, $1,000 doesn't cut the mustard. Doesn't come close. Now, if you're living at mommy and daddy's house still, and you're just looking for extra spending money, you want to be able to go to the movies 3 times a week, maybe that sounds great. But for the rest of us who have actually lived in the world is cruel. $1,000 ain't enough. It's nowhere near enough. And the real goods and services that we need, there's no price anchor. And these guys didn't even know what a fucking price anchor was. But they had things to say. And they're fucking with our lives. Do you get it? This religion, this zombie horde. Now, I believe there are some of them out there that actually do want to learn. They got swept up in a moment, whatever. I'm not against a basic income. I'm against a universal, unconditional basic income. I broke down a bunch of reasons previously. There's a million more. But the most important thing here is the tech billionaires intend to embrace AI for themselves, intend to take automation and make it their bitch. And they'll let us be serfs, the new underclass. Here's $1,000. Now shut up and eat your peas. Now, if you don't get the eat your peas reference because maybe you've recent Politico and you didn't pay attention before, Obama told everyone that they needed to tighten their belts and eat their peas and deal with the cuts. Well, we don't have to cut anything. That's the thing. We don't have to cut something for a UBI. An economically literate person would truly understand that. Because cuts to one program don't equal extra money in the other. Every dollar the government spends is a new dollar. Every time it taxes it, deletes it, it purges it. It's a circuit. But they didn't know that, did they? They didn't fucking know that, but they had things to say. They had things to say, but didn't know that. I don't know. Some couple jackasses made videos and stuff like that. You just watch them, you're like, wow, man. You see people, yay, you gotta go. Fucking dumb leading the dumber. The blind leading the blinder. The idiot brigade is out in force. And it's a shame. It's a real shame. Because there's very serious stuff going on that the Green New Deal in particular addresses. And it requires real progressives, not libertarians that want to freaking sit back and fucking collect the check. I'm talking about real life shit going on. That the Green New Deal and its job guarantee and a just transition for folks that are in industries today that will be done away with tomorrow. And the transition from that to new industry requires a just transition. And that's where the job guarantee really picks up. $1,000 a month isn't going to help these people at all. $1,000 a month is chump change unless you live in mom's basement. No joke. $1,000 a month, as much as I would love for that to help out big time for everyone, is not a real answer to the structural inequality in America. It's not an answer to solve involuntary unemployment. It's not an answer for austerity measures. It's status quo. Now, I can tell you right now, if you want to learn this stuff, there's plenty of material out there. And it doesn't come from Scott Santens. The academics that have done the hard work, the research, that are fighting and building for a Green New Deal, didn't just come up with a cute slogan. Humanity first. That's great. It's great. I share that with you. But your UBI, freedom dividend, whatever you want to call it, it doesn't cut the mustard. It doesn't even lick the jar. Folks, housing is very, very expensive. Food is very, very difficult to come by. But if I go in there with the child, there's so many local programs, like, for example, in the state of Pennsylvania. If I have a child, I can go in there and they'll give me, 5 gallons of milk, jar of peanut butter, this, that, and the other. They'll give me actual product. It doesn't matter how expensive the can of peanut butter is or the whatever juices that I get for the children or whatever. They're given the product. That's not cash, that's the product. And it's very important that we see these things because the price anchor aspect is lacking. And when you're poor, really fucking poor, you need to make sure that you can eat. You need to make sure you have shelter, and you need to make sure you have clothing. And there's no reason that it has to be austere. There's no reason, if Andrew Yang actually understood economics, that it has to only be $1,000 a month. And this is why the job guarantee kicks in. Because we can pay way more than $1,000 a month. It is the wage floor, though. And it will make business compete in terms of if in order to hire you out of that, they're going to have to meet or beat that job guarantee wage. That's a real game changer. If you don't understand what I'm talking about, trust me, it's not me that doesn't understand, it's you. And that's not a put down. You can learn this stuff. It doesn't just come in a 3-letter UBI. You have to actually do a little bit of work. You have to learn. But it's there for you. Again, Scott Santens attacked me as if I was collecting a crowdsourced UBI. He didn't attack the points I made. Because he can't. He's just a little bitch that snarls and says shit. I'm here to tell you, I said we should expand Social Security so that there's a basic income for those that want it. And I'm saying there's a job guarantee for those who want to work. Federally funded, locally administered. Why didn't Scott say that? Is it because he's a liar? Why didn't he say it? Why did he pervert it? Why did he lie? What about his character made him lie? What about it? What about him would make him lie? You're going to have to ask him, why would he lie? And why would people follow him when he's a liar? Andrew Yang may be a great player of chess. He may be a cool dude. He might even be a great dancer. But his UBI proposal, it's pure snake oil. I'm Steve Grumbine with Real Progressives. Have a great day.